Capture the objectives. Enemy taking A. We're capturing C.
Target down. Contact with enemy. Enemy
Sentry
down.
gun ready for deployment.
Enemy down.
We captured C. Enemy taking B.
Enemy in sight. Enemy contact.
Enemy has Bravo. Sentry gun deployed. Heads up, team. Enemy UAV spotted.
Target down. Targets in sight.
Enemy has Alpha.
Grenade out.
We're capturing B.
Contact with enemy.
Close. Fight harder. The Guardian is ready to be deployed. We captured Bravo. UAV online. Sentry gun deployed.
Targets in
We've
sight.
taken the lead.
Enemy contact.
Losing C.
Enemy down! I'm hurt.
Orbital laser is ready. Losing Bravo.
Target down. Contact with enemy. Boom. Headshot.
UAV online.
Enemy in sight. Headshot! Contact with
We're hurting.
enemy.
Keep fighting. Deploying orbital laser.
Target down.
Keep on them. We're winning this one.
Tango. Enemy in sight. I'm hurt.
Losing B.
Contact with enemy.
Losing Charlie. We lost Bravo. Enemy UAV spotted. UAV online.
Enemy down.
Nice work. Get ready for the next round. Capture the objectives. We're capturing Alpha.
Contact with enemy.
We captured A. Enemy taking C.
Tango down. Enemy in sight. Changing mag, cover me. Target down. Headshot. Enemy down. Enemy contact.
Care package on standby. Guardian is ready for deployment. We're capturing Bravo. Enemy has C. Sentry gun ready to deploy.
Contact with enemy.
Heads up, team.
Tango
Enemy
down.
UAV spotted.
Enemy in sight. Target in sight. Contact with enemy. Enemy in sight.
We captured B. Losing Bravo.
Enemy in sight. Target down. Target's in sight.
Lost B. Heads up. Enemy UAV spotted. Sentry gun deployed. We're capturing B. UAV online. Losing A. We captured Bravo.
Enemy contact.
Guardian is ready to be deployed.
Enemy contact.
Sentry gun ready for deployment.
Target's in sight.
Sentry gun deployed.
Reloading.
We're almost there. Keep it up.
Cover me. Enemy contact.
Capture almost complete. Keep it up.
Reloading. Cover me.
Losing Alpha.
Target's in sight.
Captured Charlie. UAV online. Losing B.
contact. Tango down. Grenade.
Enemy contact!
Nice work. Well done.
But the other part of me understands that, like, you don't want to bring such a toxic, divisive topic to your audience. Like, I totally understand.
What happened to just ban him? Well, the thing is, Hassan bans people all the time because they come into my chat and they said, Hassan.
Baldur's Gate 3 made me realize a lot of things. I actually learned a couple things playing this.
Baldur's Gate 3 made me realize
it
a
is
lot.
ultimately
The images
a game
in
I
this
wasn't an easy mark for, but it's still one I'm gonna recommend to a lot of you guys. Yeah, I know, like in a sea of like what, Jedi Survivor, Diablo 4, Everspace 2, a million billion other big massive games that'll take you a while. Here's another one. Baldur's Gate 3 is really good. I've been playing a review copy, but we've said this, and you've probably seen this in other reviews. Count this as a review in progress because there's a lot of game here. We didn't get access to the game too early, but there's still a lot I want to highlight because as of right now, it does seem like technically the game is pretty sound. I haven't had too many glitches. I had a little bit of stuttering here and there, just PC stuff I was able to fix. There's also reports of save issues, but I haven't had any of those issues, so I just wanted to put that out front. Also, all the footage you're gonna see here is fairly early. I'm not gonna spoil anything for you guys. And there's a lot of like cool, weird shit that shows up and might surprise you, especially if you're not a Dungeons and Dragons person, which I am not. I am very sorry to admit that. I like a lot of things. You guys, if you've been watching, you know I want to love and just enjoy as much shit as possible, but never got into Dungeons and Dragons. Also never got into Game of Thrones, really. But that's another video. Really, the thing with Baldur's Gate 3 was that I was like, oh, Larian's making it. That's good. They made Divinity Original Sin 2. But the thing with Original Sin 2 was that I never got into it. Not necessarily because I didn't like it or anything, but like, you know when there's a game that dense or that overwhelming and you're like, I can't do that right now. I'm playing something else, or I need to play Beautiful Joe instead on an emulator. Like, you know, you got to be in the mood for this type of game, and I never just fell in the right mood for Divinity Original Sin 2. I dabbled with it, I poked around, I checked out a friend, like, it's definitely good. Like, you can tell, I'm like, this is good. This seems like a good game, but just not something I want to play right now. Something I tried to a couple of times and bounced off of. Wrong place, wrong time. Baldur's Gate 3, I guess, just hit at the right time, or maybe it's even better. I don't know, but I've been absolutely hooked on it. I have bags under my eyes because I was playing till like 3 o'clock in the morning, and haven't really made a lot of progress in certain instances in my last session because the game is incredibly challenging. But not just like Dark Souls challenge or like something weird, but just genuinely, there's a lot to it. The combat encounters are rough. They're brutal. You die pretty quickly. The enemy constantly outsmarts you. I've had the enemy be dumb a couple of times and get stuck places, but most of the time, I get my ass beat. And it's really a learning process. It's you exploring the world, really maximizing all of your options because it is turn-based. And I've seen a lot of people go, oh, I would play this if it wasn't turn-based, and that's a shame because I still think turn-based games are good, and I feel like some people by choosing that are like missing out on a lot of things. There are games that I didn't want to be in first person, but I played them and still ended up liking them. So that's just me. But even though combat is challenging, like I said, there is a lot you can do. You have to utilize all your abilities, all your party members, and every single buff. You got to help each other out, but it's also situational and positional. But also being able to jump, being able to change verticality, move out of the way, shove enemies off cliffs if you're near them, use environmental hazards. There are a shit ton of tools here, and even when it's at its hardest, you still feel fairly empowered, like you feel like you still have a lot of tools, and that goes a long way. I found the combat like asks a lot of you, and I hit a wall quite a few times. And we talked about it in the Game Ranks video, like there's like a little bit of an element to sometimes being a little aimless in the game because you're kind of like, what do I do next? Or like, I can't talk my way through this, I can't do this, I can't convince this person this, I can't win this battle. You gotta really kind of like peel things back and really dissect everything, and that's been a satisfying thing for me. Just kind of sitting here, clicking around at this game, pondering it, trying weird things, seeing what works. And that's what I love the most, is that there's like this staggering amount of shit in this game. I don't mean like a massive giant open world filled with side quests. It's not really that. It's more of like a dense, smaller thing with just a million meaningful things to do. A bunch of mini Red Baron quests, basically. But it's really like, other than like dying in combat, aside from that, everything else that really goes on in the game in a lot of instances is like just you can keep screwing up or making weird choices or experimenting and just seeing where the game goes. There's a lot of things that I was like, oh, if I select this dialogue thing, the game is not going to possibly change or keep going after this, is it? And a lot of the times it does. And that's been the most fun thing for me. The RPG elements, cool, getting loot, you know, leveling up my character, fine. The character building stuff is decent. It gets better the further you get into it. But it's really just kind of the excitement of seeing what the game throws at you next and what you throw back at it, and then see what it throws back once more. Does that make sense? I've like romanced characters I never thought I would have. I had a guy try and poke out my eyeball. I've mind controlled people. I've stolen. I've pickpocketed. I've tricked. So that's the other thing that I'm beginning to realize here. As someone who isn't into Dungeons and Dragons, I was able to, you know, there's some shit in this game I'm like, what is this? but a lot of it does a good job of like getting you up to speed, kind of carrying you along. There is a story through line that you can follow, so I didn't have a problem. And no, it's not the type of thing where you need to play 1 and 2 because this takes place hundreds of years later, so it doesn't matter. It's just the Dungeons and Dragons fantasy world. But going back, what I said is that I found that like this is definitely going to be a thing for people who want to kind of have their Dungeons and Dragons character in a game and like do their thing and really role play. Now, this isn't the first game to do this by any means, but it just feels cool here. It feels a little different. It feels a little distinct. I've had a lot of fun making my character. I went for a rogue who kind of has a little bit of like a performance background. Like I kind of went for like Dandelion from The Witcher mixed with like Garrett from Thief. So I'm a little debonair, I'm a little dashing, but I'm also a little sickly looking and creepy at the same time and sneaky. So I've been able to talk my way through a lot of things and trick characters and put on a big show and pretend and lie, and I really have been enjoying that. It also helps that the combat has been kicking my ass, so I love avoiding combat, but it's compelling enough. It doesn't feel like, when you avoid combat a lot of the time in this game, it doesn't feel like you just skip the whole section by any means. There's usually always something else that unfolds that'll make it interesting, and that's the beauty of this. It's like fucking staggering how much is going on. Pacing wise, it does have the thing where it's like, okay, like what, I was supposed to be doing this, but then I had to go do this and help someone get there, but then that person needed me to help somebody else, and then I got caught up in this political machination and I gotta choose it. Like, you know, it loses the thread once in a while where you're like, what am I supposed to even be doing again? And I hate the journal. I don't like the way it keeps track of things. It's not that great, but it still does a really good job of just always kind of keeping your brain engaged, you know? Like, I've never felt like I needed to grind. I'm never like just kind of wandering around going, what do I do? When I am wandering around going, what do I do? I just keep stumbling upon things. So it doesn't really matter. Again, it's what I've said before, and I said it in the Before You Buy on Game Ranks. Dense is the word. But really, for me, the biggest thing was just seeing what my rogue actor weird guy could get into. His name is Drac. He's a fancy pants boy, like I said. It's funny though, because even though I'm enjoying him and creating his character, I really want to go back and just play completely as one of the main origin characters, because they're all really compelling. And what I think they really nail with this is performances. Performances, voice acting, and character facial animation stuff.
There's me right there, and then there's Jeff behind me, and then there's a roach in my bathtub. Bro, dude, Wrath.
Contact with enemy.
Just another day. Good job.